Hello everybody and welcome to this online homework. What I'm going to ask you to do today is to design some 3D forms using the program OnShape. Now, just a couple of bits about OnShape. You should already have your OnShape account set up. Make sure you don't forget your password. If you have forgotten your password, don't forget you can do password reset to gain access to it. It can be used wherever you have internet access because it's a cloud-based piece of software. If you don't have access to the internet at home, please just come and see one of the teachers in the technology department. Alternatively, you've got homework club. So just see if you can use the facilities in school if you don't have access from home. This homework will be checked next lesson, so please make sure that when you come into class that you have it on your screen ready. And finally, just make sure that you follow the instructions in this video carefully because we will be building on that in class and we're going to get more and more sophisticated uses of these processes and procedures as we go. Okay, so let's make a start on our OnShape online homework. Okay, so when you first log into OnShape, it will look a little bit like this. You'll have some of the projects that you've done on the home screen there, probably not as many as me, but obviously I teach this, so I've got quite a lot of them. You're going to create a new document, and we're going to call it exercises. Now, a document consists of a few different things. Mainly what we're going to be using is Part Studios, and you can see on the tab under here we've got Part Studio 1. We're going to right click on that and we're going to rename it Cylinder. So that's going to be our first 3D form that we're going to make. Okay, I'll just show you how to do that. So like everything in OnShape, we need to create a 2D sketch to make something 3D. So I've clicked on the sketch button and we now need to choose our sketch plane. So if I hover my mouse over the top plane and click on it, you can see that it's selected the top plane. So the program now knows where I'm going to draw my sketch. Now in order to make a cylinder, we need to start with a 2D shape. I'm going to start with a circle. Now we're going to use the center point circle. There's three different ways of drawing a circle there. So we're going to start with the center point and we're going to draw it from the origin there. Now it's always easier, since we're working on the top plane, if I click on the top plane here on my little cube, it just brings everything up to the screen, just makes life a little bit easier for us. So I'm going to hover over the origin there and draw my circle. Now I've not clicked anything, but you'll notice there's a white rectangle there with a measurement in it. Now if I change that to 50, we don't need to click on it, we just start typing and then press enter. So I've now got a circle with a diameter of 50 millimeters. We're going to green tick that. Now we've got our circle, we now need to make it 3D to turn it into a cylinder. So for this one, we're going to use the extrude function. You can see that it's got a square being made into a cuboid. And that's exactly what we do with the extrude function. We take something flat and we give it a third dimension in a specific direction to make it 3D. So we're going to choose solid and new. Now it's just asking the faces and sketch regions to extrude. So I'm just going to click on the circle and as if by magic, it's made into a cylinder. Our cylinder is going to be 100 millimeters tall. If I click off that, it makes it, updates it with the measurements there. Okay, so that is our cylinder. Now we could remove the planes there, which gives us a slightly better view. We've got 4 more 3D forms to make. Now, in order to do that, we're going to create a new part studio. So this is our first part studio, the cylinder. We're going to create a new part studio. And this one going to right click on there. This is going to be triangular prism. Now, just like with our cylinder, we're going to make it very similarly to how we made the cylinder, apart from we're not going to be using a circle. This time we're going to be using a triangle. Okay, so we're going to do our sketch. Let's make that on the top plane again. I've clicked on there. You can see that it's now loaded in there. And I'll bring it up to the screen. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line, but I'm going to turn it into a construction line by toggling this button here. And I'm going to draw a line right down the middle. Now I want my triangle to be symmetrical, so we're going to use this line as a mirror line. I'm going to toggle off construction lines and I'm going to draw a line there. That line is going to be 30 millimeters. And I'm going to draw another line connecting up to the mirror line. And that line is going to be 60 millimeters. And you can see that it stays with the connection to the mirror line and to the edge there. Now we're going to mirror that. So the mirror tool is here. Now firstly it's asking me to select a mirror line. Well, that's our dotted line that we drew. And then it's asking me for entities to be mirrored. Well, that's our lines. 1, 2. And there is our equilateral triangle. Because I made that line 30, it's obviously doubled, and that line was 60. So that is an equilateral triangle, meaning that all the sides are the same length. So I'm going to green tick that. And just like we did with our cylinder, we're going to extrude that prism. So we've got solid, we've got a new extrusion, and it's just asking me which faces and sketch regions do I want to extrude. So I'm going to click the middle of my triangle, and there it is. Now this one is also going to be 100 millimeters long. So there is our triangular prism. That's the second of our 3D forms. So we're about halfway through this homework. So well done, everyone. Okay, so our next 3D form, well, we're going to do a new part studio. And this time, we're going to make a cuboid. So we're going to rename that studio, and we're going to type in the word cuboid. Now for a cuboid, we start with, as we do with most things, a sketch. I'm going to choose a sketch plane. Let's go for the front plane this time. Doesn't really matter. Now I'm going to click on the front plane on the little cube there to bring it up to the screen. Now for our cuboid, what I'd like you to do is to draw me a rectangle. We're going to do a center point rectangle. So we're going to draw it any size. So just by clicking on the origin and then dragging the mouse out to one of the edges. And this cuboid is going to be 30 millimeters by 40 millimeters. Remember, we don't need to click in those white boxes. We just start typing and it should be there. So there is a rectangle. So a cuboid, by the way, is a bit like a cube, but some of the dimensions are unequal. Hence it being called a cuboid. Okay, so just like with our other two 3D forms, we're going to extrude. And there it is. Now we've got sides of 30, 40. This one is going to be 50. So we're extruding it to 50 millimeters like that. And there is our cuboid. Now again, don't forget, if you want to have a look at it, you can get rid of the planes, perhaps get rid of the origin as well. And now we can have a bit more of a look at it. By the way, to do that, to pan around, I'm just holding down my left mouse button and just moving the mouse around. can also press down. If you've got a roller in the middle of your mouse, you can press that down and move it around like that. Now we've got 2 more 3D forms to make, so I'm going to create a new part studio for our 4th one. This one is going to be a cone, so I'm going to rename it and type the word cone. Now where we made these first 3 using the extrusion tool, the extrude tool, for this one we are going to use the revolve tool. That's one of the other main ways in OnShape that we can make things 3D. So let me show you how to do it. So just like anything, we have to start with a sketch. We're going to start on the front plane. You can see it's loaded in there. Bring it up to the screen. Now we're going to draw a right angle triangle starting at the origin, and that's going to be 20 millimeters. I'm going to draw the line going upwards, and that's going to be 50 millimeters. And then we're just going to finish that off, making sure that we make an enclosed shape to there. And because we've made an enclosed shape, you can see that it's gone grey in the middle. So there is our right angle triangle. We're now going to revolve that to make a cone. So you can see there, it's a 2D triangle. Perhaps just zoom in a little bit there. So now when I click on the revolve tool, it wants 2 pieces of information this time. So it wants the faces, sketch regions to revolve. Well, that's our triangle. That's easy enough. Now the next one is the revolve axis. And that's the line around which the shape will revolve. So let's click on that and find out what happens. There we go. So it's now revolved 360 degrees around that central line. Now if I change that line, let's see what happens. So it's now revolved the shape around that line, or we could revolve it around the hypotenuse and make a sort of spinning top. Now that's not actually what we want, so let's go back to the cone, and there it is. Okay, so we've made a cone by revolving a right angle triangle around a central axis. Because it's a right angle triangle, it means that the bottom is flat. Okay, unlike the spinning top there, where it's at an angle, which means the bottom's at an angle. Okay, for our last shape, we're going to use that same technique of revolving something around a center line. So we're going to create our 4th and final part studio. And this one we're going to rename sphere. So we're going to create a round sort of ball-like form. So we start with a sketch, as we always do. We choose a sketch plane. We're not chosen the right plane yet, so let's do that for no particular reason. And we're going to draw our sketch on this sketch plane. Now, because we're revolving, you may have noticed that you only actually draw half of the shape that you want to revolve. So I'm going to draw a center point circle from the origin, and it's going to be 50 millimeters. Now we're going to divide that circle in 2, and we're going to do that along this line. You can see OnShape's quite helpful. It gives you sort of dotted line there when you hover over. There we go. So joined up the 2 opposite sides of the circle, and I'm going to use this tool here now. This is the trim tool to get rid of half of my circle. All I did there was I hovered over it until it was orange, and then when you click, it gets rid of that line. So let's green tick our sketch. So we've got a sketch of a semicircle, which we are now going to revolve. So it's on solid, new. So it's again 2 pieces of information that it wants. So let's choose the revolve axis, which is going to be that central line. And then we're going to click on the faces and the sketch regions to revolve, which is our semicircle. And as soon as you click on that, it creates a sphere. Quite useful to see the original shape as well, because we can look at that and we can see how that's revolved through 360 degrees. So if you've managed to do all 5 of those, very, very well done. You're in line for some class charts points. And more importantly, you've completed a homework and you are ready to start using these skills to create something a bit more interesting. Now, if you'd like to have a go at extending your skills, you can click into the assembly for this. So we've got 5 3D forms that we've made. Now, as an extension to this homework, I'm going to give you the opportunity now to... need to green tick that, sorry. So if we go into the assembly mode, give you the opportunity now to make something. So we're going to click on insert here and we can insert the part studios that we've just been creating, and we can put them together to make something abstract, something interesting, something unusual. So once we've clicked on our different forms, we can green tick that, and then what we do is we click on the individual forms and we move them through one of the 3 axes. Okay, so we can go up and down that line. Remember, use your right mouse button to pan around and have a look at things from a different angle. Always good to see things from a different angle. And all I want you to do is to just join all your pieces together to create a sort of abstract, interesting kind of little sculpture. We might even 3D print it when you get back to school. So there we go, we're just going to join them all together. You can add more of them in if you want to, just to create something sort of unusual, but they all do need to be connected. And there we have it. Well done, everybody. I look forward to seeing your work when we get back to class. Thanks very much.